Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Swift Contractors Corner. It's Tuesday. It's the 21st of September. Yeah, 2021. Look, last week I said 1921. I'm in the right century this time or something like that. Anyhow, hey, how y'all doing? Glad to see you. Glad you're here. If anyone's here, howdy. Anyone not here, joining in later, watching this in the replay, hey, welcome. Uh, if you haven't already done so, for those who are in the watching live or anyone who watching the replay, hey, hit that subscribe button for us, and it helps us out with getting to more people and reaching out further. And yeah, so we're here, we're live. Jeff just got back in. I'll bring him in here in just a second. And yeah, hey, there he is. Oh, that's a terrible screen. Let's fix that here. Much better that way. There we go. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, man.
Having fun on the phone, are you?
Oh, my goodness. There'll be a story after we're done with the fuel surcharge
Right.
stuff.
So we'll just give it a couple minutes, see if anyone else pops in. If you guys have any questions, feel free to post them, and we will get to them as soon as we can. Just say hey, give us a thumbs up, all that good stuff. That YouTube video analytics stuff that helps us reach more people. Anyhow, this oh, I see somebody. Hey, there's Ken. What's up, buddy? So there you go. We've got some stuff to talk to you about this week, and we're just going to jump in. The first thing we're going to do is the fuel surcharge, because I know some people like that stuff, and I'm just going to cover up my face here. Let me put it this way. How's that? Nope. Then we covered up Jeff's face. Oh, look, there you go. That's not even happening. That's just a terrible thing. That's fine. You know what? We're just going to leave it like that. So check it out. The national average went up 0.013 this week. That brings us to 3.385. It's what I thought was going to happen last week, but didn't. We actually went down like 0.001, but I think we're back on that climb again. So the West Coast Pad 5 went up 0.01, still over that $4 mark. That's 3 weeks consecutive now, and that's the first time since, 2015, I believe it was. September 15th is when the last time we saw $4 on the Pad 5. That's going to bring our fuel surcharge up to 0.343, and our West Coast fuel surcharge up to 0.10 still. So yeah, that's where we're at this week, guys. If you're running that freight out of the West Coast, that's pretty hefty. 44th.
Yeah, especially if you are picking up in LA and just going east from there. You don't have to fuel in California.
Right.
Guess I haven't ran out there in long enough to where I don't actually know, but my guess is that in Southern California it's hella expensive.
Right.
So if you can get at least to Arizona, check your do your math and make sure that it makes sense. But if you're going to get that extra 10 cents, like to go from LA to Texas, holy crap, that's a great load.
No doubt. There was an interesting little thing this week. The only region that did not go up was the Rocky Mountain region. It went down 0.007. It's actually gone down the last couple weeks in the Rocky Mountain region, but this is the smallest drop it's had in that 3 weeks. So I think it's about to turn the other way and start going back up. And I think next week we're going to see everything go up slightly. And yeah, just a weird little thing. It's all good. Yeah. So, but after that, then yeah, we're good. Safety, guys. Seriously. And we're on to Jeff. Jeff's got topics this week. He wants to talk about cool stuff. I don't have a whole lot this week, which is awesome. I get to sit back and relax and be mellow.
Actually, Charlie he's got me tied to a chair.
That's
right
what's
now,
happening.
So.
For real.
So if you notice my background today, I'm not in the truck. I'm in a hotel. I let you guys know last week that I completely paid off the truck, so we're clear and free.
Sorry, that was
loud. Yeah, it was. And so that gives me money to play with right now, and I'm having a bunch of maintenance done. I posted on the Facebook page what I was planning on doing, and You know, things just never go the way you plan. I could not get into an MD alignment shop to save my life. Um, Everybody's backed up like weeks on that stuff. So here's an interesting thing is after trying to get my own appointments to be, Mr. Responsible guy and doing my own business, I ended up going to Swift. I called On Road, and they were actually able to get me into a Southern Tire Mart up by Atlanta. Same day, took them 48 hours to fix everything. And boy, those guys did a bang up job. They did my alignment for me, although it's the Laser 3 axle alignment. It's not the good one like Charlie gets at MD Alignment, where they do it old school and align your truck to the frame instead of with lasers. But I don't know what to
As
do with
driven.
myself now because the truck doesn't shake anymore. So that's a little weird. But
That
they
makes it
they did
nice though.
that. Yeah, they were able to get that and my overhead done in 48 hours. So that was a pretty good turnaround because with the overhead, they got to let that engine's got to be stone cold before they open those valve covers. Because if
Yeah,
there's any heat on them at all, it's not just about burning the mechanic's hands. It's got to be cold, otherwise they can't get it set properly. Those valves need to be
metal
cold.
expands, don't get the right gaps. My last
Right.
one, unfortunately, done by who I believe is like some of the best people in the world, was Detroit and Ocala. But yeah, it took him like a week. I'm not gonna lie. I think it was like 4 or 5 days just to do my overhead. So they're busy.
Yeah. So the second part of my project, though, which is not going as well as planned, I told you guys about this DPF alternatives solution for getting your after treatment and all that stuff cleaned up. So I have a price on their top tier service, which is $1,800. But here's what you get for that. Um, they actually take the one box completely off the truck. They take the filters off the truck, and they clean everything and replace all the seals in the entire system for $1,800. So basically, you're getting an actual one box service for $1,800. And as some guys will tell you, that's not a cheap part to replace. That's like if you had to pay for a brand new one because there aren't any reman ones out there for some reason. That's like
Mhm.
15 grand.
Yep, for the one box and all the associated components, and yeah, it's not great.
Right. So they tear into it, replace all the gaskets, all the seals, make sure that I was just talking to the guy. That's why I was a little bit late. These guys are also really excited about their business. It's only 5 years old, so it's still pretty new as far as the industry is concerned. But the equipment that they buy when they franchise, they can do everything except for the ECM work. So they most of them don't have the money to go buy the Freightliner computer. And if you've ever looked into that, that's tens of thousands of dollars to get that thing,
That's
plus a
ridiculous.
$2,000 a year subscription
Yeah,
that
the
you have to buy.
subscription is what kills me because I was gonna buy it and I was like, because my truck, my computer, I'm gonna do what I want with it.
Right.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
So what they actually purchase when they buy into this franchise is a test bench, which allows them to hook everything up outside the truck in this test bench and do flow through tests and make sure that everything's to spec before they give it back to you. And he was pretty adamant about if it's not to spec after they clean it, they'll clean it again. And if it's still not to spec, they'll clean it again. And they just keep going until that thing is basically brand new.
Wow,
That's what you get
sounds
for
like a lot
eighteen
of
hundred
work.
bucks.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds like money well spent to me though.
ideally it's a 24 to 48-hour process depending on how dirty your equipment is.
Right.
They do use a kiln. I was mistaken about that. They do use a kiln, but it's not for the same purpose. It's not for the cleaning. It's because they use a chemical solution um, that's under high pressure
Mm-hmm.
to clean the thing out. And so they need to make sure that it's completely dry before they put it back on the truck.
Hmm.
So that's what the kiln is for
So it's
in their
not the baking
process.
out the. It's not like
No.
that. Let's burn the heck out of it and char it
So
all out and chip it and all that crap.
they hit the system with sonic whatevers. I'm not a scientist. I leave that up to my oldest boy. But so they hit it with the ultrasonic stuff to break everything loose, and then they hit it with this chemical wash, and then they inspect it. If it needs to go through again, they'd go through again. They bake it to get it all cleaned out. and then they flow test it. And if it's good, they send it back. So here's the bottleneck that I'm experiencing though, and that is Freightliner, because you have to have somebody take the stuff off. So the way this guy's running his business, and I get the impression that it's not every DPF solution business that is set up this way, but the way he's got it is he does have his shop inside another guy's shop, but it's a dude and his son running that shop.
Right.
So he's backlogged like 3 weeks.
DPF Solutions is a franchise type deal, right? So they
Yes.
all go through the same training, but they have different methodology as far as what they do in their shops, shop size, things like that.
Right. So I ended up at Freightliner, Middle Georgia Freightliner in Macon. And I am experiencing a little bit of resistance from them. It's almost like they don't want to do it.
Right.
But
well, because they want to sell you a brand new DPF in one box for 15 grand.
right. So I've had to kind of put my foot down with them and say, hey, you've done business with this guy before. As a matter of fact, you have sent him 1 boxes, according to him, to be refurbished.
Nice.
So what's the problem?
Right.
And Charlie knows I don't get yelly with people that aren't my wife. But you know, it's frustrating dealing with shops sometimes, especially when you're 1,800 miles away from home. If my alignment hadn't have been so far off that I determined that the truck was just not safe to drive anymore, that's how bad, unfortunately, I let it get because I'm an idiot.
Right.
We all. That's another thing, guys. You know, once that thing starts shaking and not steering straight, go take it in. Don't do like me and burn up a set of steers that's only halfway through their life cycle.
what happened to the inside of one of those steers?
All the way down to the metal.
Oh.
All the way down to the metal.
That's painful.
So at that point, you got to call it. There is no more excuses.
Right.
You got to call it and go get it done.
Yeah, you ended up stopping a day early too, didn't you, because of that?
Yeah, as soon as I started seeing steel belt, I just shut the truck down.
Good.
Because it went from no river wear at all to steel belt in like 3 days.
Yeah,
that's how far out it. That's how far out it had gotten.
You know, it's funny because what I've seen in the past is, sorry, man, on that alignment thing is you know, it starts out a little bit and you're like jigga jigga jigga, no big deal, drive through it, and you know, next couple weeks jigga jigga jigga, and you're like, oh, it's just, you know, it's just whatever, and then it starts getting jigga jigga jigga, and you're like, well, there's nothing wrong with my tires, and then a couple days later, holy crap, it's gone.
And that's exactly what happened to me. You know, I started thinking about it when stuff started falling out of my bunk because the truck was shaking so bad, but there was nothing wrong with my tires.
Freightliner,
right? So
baby,
I was like,
Freightliner.
It's just a Freightliner.
Oh my gosh.
So I still have high hopes on this DPF solutions thing or alternatives thing.
Right.
Because I really do think that regardless of what Swift is telling you, and you know, if they're if they somehow get wind of this, I really don't care. We need to be doing preventative maintenance on our trucks.
Right.
You know, waiting until you need a DPF replaced when you could have for thousands of dollars, right? Or doing the bake and shake method where, okay, you ran it for 300, now you got to do it again in 150, and the next time you might not be able to do it at all because the whole process might just crack your filter.
Right.
This one looks more like if you do it regularly, and I don't know what the interval is going to end up being. If you do it regularly, you might end up never having to replace a filter again. You know, it's like anything else. It's not a tire. There's no rubbing on it. The reason why a DPF goes bad is because of the carbon buildup. And then the act of cleaning it with that shake and bake method actually damages the filter itself little by little. So eventually you end up with a cracked element inside.
Any idea what it is about that causes that damage? Is it the heating? Is it just
because of the way
that it ended up getting clean?
If you spent the day in Arizona outside and then someone beat you upside the head with a palm frond, would you like that?
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I think I might be broken then too.
So, you know, it's basically the guy that invented it. I guess he's been in the business of cleaning DPFs since 2008. You know, he got into it earlier, and then he invented this process and then franchised it out. So he's probably richer than all of us put together at this point.
Good
Yeah,
for him.
people that can innovate like that. Um, I mean, and it could end up being one of those things where I'm like, yeah, that wasn't worth it. But only time's going to tell that. And Charlie will tell you, I'm more than willing to spend money to be proven wrong.
Yeah. Oh, Lord knows we both have paid that price.
So I'm hoping this is our preventative maintenance solution. The $1,800 I'm paying for, by the way, is the top tier service.
That's
The
because
only
of the one
thing,
box service and all that.
right, right, just getting the DPF done is like $800.
That's not bad.
So,
Well, that's
it's
not
not
bad at
bad.
all.
So, I'm interested. It's going to be hard to tell because I've had so much work done this week, and
Right.
and all of it will affect fuel mileage. So I'm not going to be able to tell you guys if getting this done, what effect it had on fuel mileage because I've had the alignment done, I've had my valves adjusted, and this in the same week. So we're probably looking at getting my truck back up to the 8+ miles per hour that it was before
That'd be awesome.
before it got old.
Right.
So I'm really gonna start beating this drum of if you
Especially
guys
driving at 60. Just saying.
nobody does that, Charlie, except me.
Hey,
And even I
I've
don't
been
do
pretty
that at
religious
Walmart.
lately. I've been actually really religious about it lately. Rosie and I have really been. I've even got Rosie down to 60 on a regular basis now, and I just want you to know that is tough to do to get her to slow down like that. Not that she's a speed demon, but anything below 65, and she starts getting a little twitchy.
That's what
I'm
their
like,
XM's for.
right?
You know, you let all you know how you solve the twitches is just whatever your political opinion is, you've got those talking heads on the XM.
Right.
Just listen to the guy that you agree with, and you'll be
Wait,
fine.
that makes sense. See, maybe that's one of my problems. I listen to the people I don't agree with, and they get me all tensed up, and then I got to put on Metallica or something like that, or some, my bad. That's terrible.
My favorite band these days.
Yes, yes.
Five
It's good
Finger Death
stuff.
Punch.
Five Finger Death Punch.
That's right. My daughter can't believe that her old man listens to that.
Well, whatever. They don't understand the good music that we dig, and they're like, "How could you know who that is?" I'm like,
Yeah. Well, so one of the techs I'm going to be taking more of a hard line on is doing your preventative maintenance, guys.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because Charlie and I both had trucks long enough to where we've seen, we probably should have done that 6 months ago. We knew we should have done that 6 months ago, and all of a sudden we're in the shop for 3 weeks.
Right.
And we knew.
Yep. And what's funny is we both when either one of us do it, we're like, "Hey, dummy, you should have did it." We even talked about it. And you said, "Hey, I better do this," and we're like, "Yeah, yeah, you should have." And then we're like, "Yeah, I'm dumb." And so it cost us more money. And you know what? That's one of those education things. Education is expensive. And had you fixed it at the start of the problem, it wouldn't have been as expensive later on.
That's right.
It's a hard reality.
Yep. Oh, no. Since we're talking about maintenance too, we need to. We'll put some information up about this, but I was talking to a guy the other day that kind of stopped talking to me after a while, I guess.
Right.
But what it was he was talking about his tires that he gotten done, and they cost X amount of money. And I asked him, "Oh, well, where'd you have your inspection done, and what tires did you buy?" And so I went to the Michelin website. He got the Bridgestone 726s.
Ooh.
And I use the 720s if I'm going to go Bridgestone.
Right.
And I was curious, so I looked it up. And those tires are 61 points higher on the rolling resistance than the 720s.
Are you serious? 61.
So Charlie and I were talking about this the other day, and what it is for every 10% of rolling resistance costs you 1%, 1 to 2% of fuel mileage. So I did the napkin math on that. Those tires are costing that guy 4.8 miles per gallon, or 0.48 miles per gallon. So almost half a mile per gallon on those tires. So if you do the math on today's fuel prices, I've always just used the fuel prices that were really high back when I started. So that's still what I look at. So for every 10th of a mile per gallon, that's about $1,000 a year in fuel. So if you save $2,000 on these tires, you're going to spend more than the fuel you would have saved with the 720s.
Ooh.
in fuel.
Yeah, see,
'Cause that's
I
for
get in those
that's
arguments a lot, and people are like, "No, but I got these tires so cheap, it's great,
hmm
and they'll last forever."
yeah. Well, if you just
At
want
half a
pretty
mile per
tires,
gallon, right? Half a mile per gallon loss, and they're gonna
so
last you longer. Woo!
yeah, tires are one of those things that we kind of. I think a lot of guys I talk to just like, oh, they were on sale, so that's what I put on.
Right.
And we're Charlie and I are both numbers guys, so we'll hammer that out. And if you just Google Michelin rolling resistance chart, it'll take you right to it. And I did it wrong last time, which I'm going to let Charlie keep making fun of me about this because I bought the wrong tires that are probably costing me at least half a mile per gallon.
XDN2 Michelin.
By the way, the Walmart DC and Opelika, that's what they put on their Walmart trucks.
I don't
Just saying.
understand why.
I
What's
don't
the
know.
traction thing? Yeah, whatever.
Well, they do have a pretty aggressive lug, but
They last a
I
good long time.
I read the chart wrong, so I ended up with these tires that I thought were great, and then actually the first time Charlie and I ever met face to face, he's looking at my truck, shaking his head. Dude, what the hell? Because they really are for our operation one of the worst tires that you could have bought. Just because
Yep,
they say Michelin on them doesn't mean they're a good tire for you.
that's right. You got to get the right model.
They'd be really great for logging though.
Oh
So
yeah. Well, I mean, look. I mean, truthfully, if you're running a lot of that winter road stuff and kind of that soupy kind of crap out there in the Northwest or something like that, if you're hitting dirt roads on a regular basis or even just heavy snow all the time, they say that they are better traction. I can believe that they're better traction because they have that great big aggressive lug, and the compound they use is a harder compound, so they do some. It's a harder softer compound. Now I can't remember. I apologize for that. I'll look it up to see if I can make that the right statement. But it's a different compound than say the Energy D line, you know, and that's where the true difference comes. One from the aggressive lug, the open shoulder gives the lugs more flex, which creates more drag, and in doing so reduces your fuel mileage. So I mean they have a place, they have a purpose. I know guys that actually swap their tires out in winter because they live up in the Northwest, running out of from the Northwest through Wyoming and all that kind of mess all winter long. And you know what? Hey, power to you. I get it. I understand. I didn't swap tires when I did that, and I did just fine and never had an accident and never got stuck while we were up there. But then they swap them back to the Energy D's, which are the lower rolling resistance, and they run those once the crazy winter months are over. For Wyoming, that's what is that? July 15th to July 17th. That's when the winter months end, right? So
yeah,
there you
pretty
go.
much. So the other thing, this will interest you, Charlie. So the rolling resistance difference between the Bridgestone 720s and the Michelin Energy Ds is only 1 point.
Yep, they are close.
So that the argument people have Michelin's or Bridgestone, from a numbers perspective, they're the same. So whichever one you can get for a less purchase price, you're good on those two tires, I think.
Yeah, and my experience with those, because I had the 720s at one point, was they lasted comparably to the Michelin as far as the wear life. So and I didn't have a problem with them. I just at this point have decided I prefer the Michelin's, just years of use and that sort of thing. There's nothing wrong with the 720s. They absolutely, you can't get me to talk bad about them other than the fact that they're not Michelin. And it's like Ford and Chevy. You know what I'm saying? It's just whatever.
Well, you've got those stupid singles though
Y-
that
Hey,
are so
hey now,
dangerous and
right? And because if you blow one, you can't drive 80 miles to a truck stop so you can get a shower and dinner and a nap while they change your whatever. Don't take me down this road, Jeff.
why because you lost the last argument on it.
Wait, I'm pretty
Oh
sure I didn't. Okay.
no, there was a new law though. Remember that that you weren't aware of about that
Right. Well, yeah. You know,
on the singling out thing.
you're right. Only and okay. Let me just explain this real quick for those of you not following along. Someone had said, well, you could just take the tire off of the one side and drive down the road with three tires. I was still under the impression of the older rules where when singling out an axle meant you had to remove a tire from each side of that axle, and you could then operate with just those two tires on the axle. There was a rule change, and I don't know when it happened. It wasn't one that I was tracking all the time, but apparently it was some years back. And the FMCSA and the DOT stated that yes, you can actually drive with only three tires on an axle, provided you do not exceed those three tires' weight rating at that point, and you have to remove every single bit of the tire from the rim. The rim can remain. No part of the tire can be on there. So not a single part of the ring, none of that can be on there. But there you go. And I know there's an awful lot of people out there who I don't believe who could actually get all of the tire off without tools. A lot of guys don't carry tools, and you're going to need some bolt cutters or a saw or something along those lines to cut. The bead on those commercial tires, I don't know, is pretty darn thick, and they're hard to cut through. So there you go. I can admit when I'm wrong. I have no problem with that. When you prove me wrong, let's do it, man. We all learn. I love to learn
Yeah,
this stuff.
yeah. Just so you guys know, I was running damaged trailers from the mill out in Toledo back to the Troutdale yard for a while. They were paying me loaded miles for that, by the way. Biggest scam on
Did
the
they?
earth. Did that for about a week, and so there was a bunch of them where the tires were just shredded on the rim. And they needed to come back because for some reason they didn't want to send someone out there to deal with it. And what it took was those beak nose bolt cutters, the long handled ones, to get
Right.
that bead off. So I had a hacksaw and I had those beak nose, those beak looking, like that. Um, that's what it took to get the bead off of those things. And even then it was a Schwarzenegger workout
Yeah.
for my little skinny frame.
It
Not so skinny
it's
anymore, but
hey, I wasn't gonna go there.
yeah,
Anyhow, well, but yeah, and so I mean that's the thing. But going back to those tires, like I said, I don't have a problem with those two tires. I run them both. Heck, I run Continentals in the past. I didn't like the way that they wore. The rolling resistance was actually fairly comparable at the time. I can't remember which Continental it was. It was fairly comparable to the Michelin, and but they didn't last as long. And I vaguely recall having some traction issues. I was running a regular route from Kent, Washington to Siding, Nebraska, and back and forth multiple times a week, and running that 80, 84, and all that stuff in the winter, and we were expected to keep going. It was a little sketchier on the Continentals, and I was kind of glad when I wore them out.
yeah.
Went back to Michelin.
Yeah, I mean, Michelin makes a great tire. I mean, there's a Toyo out there that is a similar rolling resistance too. But if you talk to guys that have bought those, they might last you 110,000 miles. And
Really?
I'm used to getting 300,000 miles out of a set of drives.
Right.
So
Yeah. See,
again,
you
they
do better on
cause
that than I do, but that's okay.
yeah. Well, I'm magic.
You are.
I actually can't explain it because I know a lot of guys that don't get near the mileage out of a set of drives that I do, and they're as religious about doing 60 as I am. So it's not
Right.
that. So I don't know. Maybe it's where you guys drive or something.
Yeah, I don't know either. Although you are down here in the southeast a lot more now. We'll see how your next set works. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, those Atlanta roads are something else. Back
Well,
roads, Alabama, and everything else.
the shop in Opelika, if I buy tires from them, they have to order them for me because they actually buy a Bridgestone that's region specific. That's what they put
Right.
on their trucks.
Okay.
And as an OTR driver, I don't want that because it's a specific rubber compound for this
Right.
southeast area.
These
And they
types of
would
roads that are special.
right, and they get chewed up in the cold of Canada.
Right.
You go above the 40 with those in the wintertime, and they get brittle, I guess.
Right.
So
If anyone's got questions, throw them up, guys. We'll be happy to answer it. Hey, I did want to touch on something real quick, Jeff, if that's cool. Uh, Folks we were having a little discussion earlier this week. They had done some updates in the load board system itself. I know not everyone's on it, and not everyone's in there's a group that we're in that is for load board people, and not everyone on the load board is there. And some of you guys watch this stuff, so I thought I'd bring it up here. What's going on? I'm gonna bring up a screen here and share this out. So they've added the all-in price. Well, they're calling it all-in price. It's not really an all-in price. What you're seeing is like on this load here, it's 2,200 miles, 43,000 pounds, and they're paying $2,513 plus fuel surcharge. And basically, what that is, if you do the math, it's stating that it's a $1.12 a mile. So what happened is they put the update in, but they didn't put in the new pay scale. Again, because it's still testing, it's not a huge deal. That won't actually be the price you're getting. You will be getting the contract rate, which is, on that load be $1.15 a mile instead of the $1.12. So that would be adjusted once it all went through. The other thing about that is this is going to say uh, this is an estimate, because the issues of this platform transferring into Swift's platform shows a different mileage, because Swift uses the uh, Ram McNally Household Movers Guide. And because of that, these miles are sometimes a little off from what this load board says. But don't worry, this isn't permanent. This isn't the final product. Again, this is just how it's been lately. And this just goes to show, though, that they are doing some things. And the reason they're starting to show the price is to get us in the habit of seeing what the all-in price is. For the, one day when we start getting real loads, you look at the price, figure your miles, see if the in the deadhead and all those sorts of things, so you actually know what you're getting paid for that load, and being able to make a good sound decision. But yeah, so I don't want people to freak out and all that sort of thing. Oh, and just for fun, people are always telling me, oh, the only, my friends on the load board test team, and they said that there's only, short loads, and they're all super heavy. And, right here at the bottom of this, we're looking at 1556 miles at 12,000 pounds. Here's another one, 1556 miles, 17.9. Here's one at 1556 at 87.98. Here's one at 88.77 on weight. Here's one at 10. So yeah, it's a matter of where you're picking up loads, and if they're not in an area where some of these loads are. I happen to be one of those guys that pays attention to the longer loads, because Rosie and I run teams, and it's just easier for us to run the longer miles, because most of these loads are solo type loads and can't be there early. So we'll run a team and take it somewhere and work on it, and find some other ways to make money in between, because that's an option, it's a possibility, and we'll see if that remains. Anyhow, but that's that. I just wanted to show you that and give you a quick little look, and don't freak out. It's going to pay you the right amount.
Yep. Right now it's paying our contracted amount, so it doesn't actually matter what that thing says. We're getting paid our contracted amount based on Ram McNally household mover miles.
It's just to get us in that habit of looking at what it is they're going to pay you for that load and what it is you're going to get.
Right. If that's the thing is that once we do go to percentage, which they still say they're working on it, but I'm not going to blow smoke up your butts. It's not going as quickly as we had hoped. A lot of the stuff that IT shakeup really put us behind. For those of you that aren't already aware, Swift basically lost all their IT people in 1 week.
A good chunk of them, that was for sure.
At least the ones that mattered, the people that were project managers and things like that. So
definitely the ones that were working on our stuff.
Yeah, so we got put in the back burner, and the priority for those guys has been the company as a whole, not our little project over here in owner operator land, which I can't really fault them for that. They got problems with the Zonar, they got problems with the what do they actually call it? I call it the HAL 9000, but it's called something else, the AS 400. Yeah, that stupid system. And until they get actually, if you think about it, with the way the load board is supposed to work, until they fix that AS 400, we're not going to get what we want out of the load board anyway.
Right.
So, because that's been the bottleneck, is getting things from Swift Logistics onto the AS 400 and then us dispatched on it. Right. That's been the bottleneck the whole time. Right now, it's all being done manually. So for those of you guys that aren't involved in the test, that's what's really going on. Those of you that are, I encourage you to actually test it and get on that tester Facebook website and share your experiences with it because they are looking at that.
Yeah, they do, and the group's been a little quiet lately. It's not a lot of updates coming out right now, and no real feedback. The last thing was the price thing. They were like, "That's not showing the right price," and it was exactly what I thought it was when I responded to it. That it's simply showing the old rate, not the new rate, and it just came out right at the same time, and yeah, it was not a big deal.
Right. So, business is still going forward. It's just not light speed, that's for sure.
Right.
Um, and the leadership in the owner operator division, they're understandably reluctant to tell us anything new because they can't promise us anything right now. And for my money, that's a good thing. At
Yeah.
least they're not blowing smoke up our butts.
Right.
They've told us they've told us where they're at, and that's just kind of where we're at for now.
I'd rather
So
have the real info or less info rather than, hey, this is going to be, and then it's not. And then we're like, oh, what happened? You said it was going to. Well, things happen. We get that. It's just
yeah,
easier if they're not putting it out so often, saying, hey, this is going to happen right now. And then it doesn't happen. Everybody's like, what the heck? What happened?
so our take on it is just continue doing business. Run your truck the way you want to run your truck. Pay attention to your numbers.
Absolutely.
When things do progress, that's the skills that you're building by doing that right now will make the difference between staying in business and not if you ever want to go like to a percentage based pay scale.
No doubt.
Because unless you know what it costs to run your truck, and I'm talking about you better know off the top of your head, you're not going to know if that load's going to be profitable for you at that rate. So get used to it now, man.
No
And
doubt.
whether you know us, whether you're like us and you're probably going to stay at Swift until you retire, or if you've got bigger plans down the road, you know, it really is hard to just fail flat on your face here. You can make a lot of mistakes in the system and still survive.
Right.
Just make sure that you're learning from those mistakes. Charlie and I have made our fair share. That's for dang sure.
That's why
Um,
we share them so other people don't make the same ones. It hurt. It's almost painful when we try to help someone out. We say, hey, this you're in the process or about to make a mistake that we've already made. Both of us have done it, and this is what
mhm,
it's going to cost you. And they're like, oh, I got this. And then they're like,
yeah.
oh crap, I just did this. And we're like, and guess what? It cost you this, right? And they're like, yeah, how'd you know? Because that's exactly what we told you. But that, hey, we all got to learn when we got to learn, and that's fine. We're not saying our way is the only way, but we are saying that a lot of the things that we're out here preaching do work, and they work well. And
Yep.
there's some things that just don't work well, and we're not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything like that. We're just doing what works. And
Yep.
if you want to experiment, by all means experiment. Heck, we do it all the time. So yeah, just
And just
understand that
let
there are
you
consequences
know,
and costs.
and post it on the group, man, because you might try something that we've never thought of, and whether you succeed or fail at it, you know, share it with other people so we can.
Yeah,
It helps with the ideas. So
post
anyway,
comments.
so quick shout out to Ken. Ken's our number one fan out there.
Right, Ken Kelly, we can count on you, buddy. Appreciate you being there, man. And other than that, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. We do appreciate y'all being here. I'm gonna do my little spiel. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss these videos when we do them live. It'd be nice to get a little more participation during the live streams. We get questions. We like questions. Questions start discussion. Discussions lead to learning. All I want to do is learn more every day. Honest to God, that is truly what I want to do. I like learning new stuff, and trying to clear up some bad information out there. It's a big thing. But thumbs up on the videos if you like them. If you're finding any use, check them out. There's a bunch of videos out there, not just these live updates. There's some other stuff that we've done. If you dig it, thumbs up. If you don't dig it, let us know. Leave comments. Tell us what you think. what else do you want us to do? What do you want to see? If you communicate, we'll do what we can do and make this better. But Jeff, you got anything else, buddy?
That's it.
Well, there you go. That's Jeff Morton. Wait, I mean, wrong way. That's
Yeah.
Jeff Morton.
Everything's
baby.
backwards.
I know, it throws me off. Hey, and I'm Charlie Maint. This is Swift Contractors Corner, and we're so glad you guys are here, and you guys take care of each other out there and be safe.